Hi, it's Love Right Create. Can you see me? It's Gabby. I'm trying to start it.
You started it.
All right, everyone. We're here today with Callie Ross.
Woo woo.
Woo! And Morgan Wiley.
Hello.
And tonight, somebody was a little bit crazy and said that it was my turn to do a Love Right Create opening. Yay! Okay.
We're all exercising our falling out of boundaries and walls, and they're crumbling down, Gabby.
Right.
Calm down.
Okay, so tonight we are going to talk about trying to find some online courses, webinars, and trainings that would be helpful in this journey of writing. And so we all thought we would just try to give you guys an idea of what we're looking for this year, 2015, to kind of give us a boost or encouragement or a little bit of knowledge, but also maybe something that we tried. And maybe after we do all this and give the ideas and the things we're looking into, we can do an update show and let you know how it went, whether we did it, why we didn't, and just to kind of give you some good options to see if there's anything that's going to be the thing that kind of pushes you over the edge and helps you get that book done or helps you get those, those words out and blog posts done. So first, we're going to talk about what we're looking for. Some ideas of what we're looking to do this year. So let's start off with Morgan. Can you give me an idea of what you're looking to do this year?
Okay, Happy New Year, everybody. Okay, this year I am looking to, I think this kind of bounces off of my goals that we did in our last show, but I would like to do some kind of training, whether it's a class or a webinar or even just some helpful blog posts about, I'd like to dive deeper into character development and even story development. I feel like I really want to expand on my writing techniques, and so I think that's something that I want to focus on.
Awesome. All right, Kelly.
Well, this is a tough one because I actually just did a post on this, and I've got 5 things I really want to work on, and I think that they're going to make me a better writer. But I won't bore you and go over all 5 of them. I'll just tell you that I just want to be better, I guess is the best way to put it. I think we all want to be better, but I want to be better at writing words, but I also want to write more words this year than I did last year. I think that for me, the main goal this first week of the new year has been to write more words. My issue is time management, so I have been really struggling with my schedule every day and making sure that I have words that go down every day. Even if they're not book words, I'm still writing something every day. So that has been huge so far, and I'm hoping to stick with it. It's not a resolution. It's just I'm going to do it every day, no matter what. So I feel like I'm on a diet, but with words, and I'm wanting to have more words instead of less words. It's very confusing, but it's working so far.
Yeah. Okay, well, what I'm trying to do this year is obviously definitely time management and making sure that when I sit down, I'm using the time I have well. So I really want, and we've talked about this before together, I really want to do a Scrivener course because I feel like I get a little bit held up with just the knowledge of the program and all that stuff. It's pretty intuitive, but maybe things that'll help me do things quicker. And then just making sure when I sit down that I'm getting to the meat of it, and maybe a couple hints and tricks that I can, when I get that time to sit down, that I'm actually doing things that are constructive and helping me get more of the meat of the story done. So that's kind of what I'm looking for this
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are you paying for the Scrivener course that you want to take, or is it a free one?
The one that I have been looking, I think you have to pay.
Okay. I was just curious. I mean, it's one of those things that I know a lot of people know about Scrivener. So I've taken one that's free before, but
Yeah.
they really didn't teach me very much that I didn't already know.
Yeah, and I think that's what I want is one of those like in-depth, like really giving you the meat and almost like a computer course type of class, because I feel like once I know how to use it, then I'll be fine. It's just knowing, like I did the tutorial when I first got it, but I don't remember a lot of that stuff. So I just need a refresher. Hopefully the second time around it'll kind of stick in there and help me to get things a little bit more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so can we just all of us go around and maybe tell one thing, one course or one kind of tutorial thing that you've done, pros and cons, that kind of a thing. Morgan, you want to start?
Oh boy. Okay, this is a hard one. I'm trying to remember. Okay, I'll tell you one that I kind of did. Actually, and it was a Scrivener course I signed up for. Actually, just later this last year. Well, last month. But I was in the middle of edits and I just couldn't focus on it, so I didn't do it. But it's one of those courses that I paid for it. I believe it was like $20, $25, and it was more on the technical side of the compilation, and I just wanted to make sure that I was doing right and wondering if there was better ways to be doing it. And there was some other, detailed stuff along with that. But it's one of those courses that I think I have a whole year I get access to all of the material. It was like an 8-week class, and so I can go back in the classroom and use all her notes and everything that she said and still do it. So I would still like to do that. As far as ones that I actually did, let's see. Gosh, a lot of the things I've learned, especially with the technical stuff, has been either research on my own and different blogs. With Scrivener, there's a great blog that I always go to refresh my memory on how to set up all my settings and things. I think it's called Editto. What else? And I had some friends that were very helpful with that stuff as well. And I read a lot. I read a lot of technical books. So I'm drawing a blank as far as a class goes, though. Let me think about that one.
Okay. Callie?
Well, to be completely honest, I teach a class every week. And after watching some of these webinars that we're going to talk about later, it makes me think, why the heck am I not writing about how to write? Because I teach a writing class to college level students every week. I've been teaching it forever.
You should do one for us.
And even the girls know, when we get together, I'm the one that has the note cards. So it's let's do writing exercises.
Yeah.
Such a nerd.
We call her Mrs. Ross.
Yeah. There's no reason to be so formal. Come on now, Professor Ross will be fine.
Professor, excuse me. Excuse me.
Hey, if I become a professional, then maybe I'll move it up to Dr. Ross or something like that. Or not. Okay, but in all seriousness, I will say that I have taken a class with CJ Redwine, who is an author, YA author, and she does a couple of different classes. They're all online, and the timing was really off on how she was doing a class, and she was so gracious and decided that she would reschedule part of it for me. And so I got a little bit of a private lesson from her, not like this. It was all through email and all of that, and she actually worked with me on my book blurb, or synopsis. And so that I was really, really struggling with it at the time. I wanted someone outside of who had read the book to help me, and she does a query letter class that I've heard phenomenal things about. And someday, when I am ready to seriously query a book that I've written, that's not my first book, I will definitely consider taking that class just because I've heard really great things about it.
Yeah,
I have too. I've heard her speak at Utopia, and she always has some amazing advice to consider. So that's one thing I've actually paid for to attend. Like I said, I've done a Scrivener course that's free. I've done another class. His name's Michael. He kind of worked on that other webinar that we watched, but he did a class on marketing once, and then of course I've done some of the phone calls where everybody's kind of in a conference call and you're just listening to the person that has the experience talk.
Right.
But you know, it's one of those things where I've done a lot of little things that were free here and there, or reading an article. But I think the hard part for me on spending money is, first of all, as much as I want for writing to just take off and be amazing, and I could make money and buy my husband a car and, you know, take care of debt, all that kind of stuff, I would love it. But because it's not, and it's kind of a hobby, and I teach and I have kids, for me, if I spend that much money on something, I want to guarantee that it's going to work or help. And that's the hard part for me, because I feel like if I can't even do it without the help, then maybe I shouldn't pay for it. So that's why this year I'm writing more.
Okay, so
that was therapy.
We all did a webinar, funnily enough, together this week, or we tried to do a webinar together this week, and it was supposed to be about promoting your book and self-publishing and, you know, tips and tricks and all of that. I thought a couple of the tips and things were very interesting and very good, like bundling and different things like that. But I don't know if we can all just give a couple of pros and cons to it of what we thought. For me, myself, I thought a con was the webinar. He wasn't there. Like, you could just hear his voice and it was visual.
Right.
And it just was very disconnected, and it felt more like, you know, like at night, those late night, like, infomercials. It kind of felt like that. And it felt more like he was promoting his book rather than teaching, which for me, it was free. So I guess that's a part of it. So if I'm going to do it, I would want to pay and have somebody feel like they're getting something from this and then just teaching me. Because I felt it just felt a little too infomercial for me. Does anybody else want to add anything to that?
Well, I'll say that I completely understand why someone who has succeeded, at least financially succeeded, I guess is the best way to put it. I could see why them sharing their expertise, for a few moments, for them to, you know, publicize and promote their own work is totally reasonable. I mean, like, I'm totally okay with that. For me, I think the timing was off. I felt like that 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock Eastern was a weird time for me. As a mom, I was picking my kids up. For me, I think that time management-wise, it makes sense for something like that to go on either in the evening when people have free time, because let's be honest, most writers have another job that they would say is their real job, not their dream job. And then or if you're speaking to writers that are full-time writers, that it would be something that you would put in the morning, like around 9 o'clock in the morning. Not necessarily, or maybe even 10, just so some of those on the Pacific side could jump in early, but just something to kick off your day. Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like that the timing was weird, and again, I can't really say too much about it as far as it being bad, because I had to jump off and go get in car line. So for me, the first half, you know, I don't know if it was a whole half, but the first part of it that I did get to listen to, there were some beneficial things that I got from it, even if they were just reminders, things I've heard before. Right. It's always so good to hear that stuff again.
Okay.
My turn?
Yes.
No, I agree. I think for me it was a little hard. I'm a very visual person, so to not see him, even though he had slides and he had, you know, quotes and things to look at, it was hard for me to completely pay attention. So it was kind of hit and miss. But like Callie said, I did find some beneficial things, or a couple of things that I wrote down to go look up and things like that. But yeah, so you know, but it was free. So
yeah, we should say that his name was Nathan Barry. I just looked this up so I could tell you. But if somebody was interested, I think they actually recorded it, so someone could go and watch it. And he did talk a lot about fiction and nonfiction, but it was a little heavy on the fiction side. I'm sorry, on the nonfiction side.
Yeah, it was more to nonfiction.
Yeah, and that's just because that's what he writes. So I think that's where the application is a little more difficult when you have someone that writes nonfiction teaching a bunch of people that write fiction.
Yeah. Well, and while we're on this, I did look up. He's an app creator too. So he made this app called Commit, and I actually went ahead and downloaded it because it looked interesting, and it was $2.99, but it's a time management kind of. It's more of an accountability thing. So it's on this thing. It says, "Did you write today?" And then I would either hit yes or there's not a no button. I'm still trying to figure it out. I just got it a little while ago. No. I think if you just skip it, then it just figures you didn't do it. But
I didn't answer that question today. I didn't answer that question.
But it keeps track of your progress. So then I think, I don't know after how many days. I'm not, like I said, I'm still figuring it out. But it's very simple. It's a very simple app. I got it too. It's supposed to tell you how often you write and your progress, and I don't know.
That's funny.
Yeah, we'll give it a go.
Yeah, well, it's all good stuff. I mean, I think you can only. I mean, if you're going to invest the money, then you obviously want to know that it's something that you're going to get a good return on. But for a free thing like this, it was a good learning experience, and we did get some bits and pieces of good stuff out of it. Okay, so. Can we just all talk about a little bit of what we're actually looking into doing this year? And like I said before, we're going to go through these, and we're going to, Callie is going to put the descriptions and the links all in the description box of what we talk about. And what we're going to try to do is come back later in the year and just give an update on if we did it, why we didn't do it, how we felt about it, that kind of a thing. So let's start off with Callie, and do you want to just give us an idea of what you're looking into this year?
Yeah, I actually am going to focus on something that is financially easy for me this year. And that is, I've done a little research, and I know if you're a writer, you probably have been to writersdigest.com, and if you haven't, who are you? Like, what are you thinking? Go there. It's called writersdigest.com. But it is a place where there are a lot of articles. It can be a little overwhelming, but if you have a fancy little mouse or finger with a little mouse pad, you can go up to the Education tab, and then the menu that scrolls down, there is a section of free webinars. Like, you can go on and watch all of the free webinars from the last year or two. There were some that I found, because you can also do a topical search, that that you could pay to watch, to go through that webinar again. And most of those are pretty pricey. They're around $90. That's pricey for me. And but you can go online and you can purchase those and download them. For me, I'll probably be sticking to that free webinar page. But everything from copywriting basics to writing a knockout YA query letter, just all sorts of things that even though I might not be at the place where, you know, I'm doing that in my writing, it just will be nice preparation, and it also is just something to help motivate me to get there at some point. So so for me, I have a few little things that are on a wish list that I would love to participate in, but at this point, unless some crazy famous person picks up my book and starts tweeting about it, I am not going to make enough money to pay for all of the extra classes I'm going to take. Okay, so that's it.
Okay. Morgan, do you have any for us?
Sure. And actually, I guess this is one that I have done throughout most of last year, but we'll be continuing it. It's a phone call. Callie touched on it a little bit. It's it used to be a little more often, but everyone's so busy that it's now down to once a month, the first Tuesday of every month, which is very doable. It's an hour phone call with Heather Hildebrand. She has started this as a part of her Phoenix Authors, Inc., and it's called the Connective Collective. And it's 4 authors who have already published at least one book, because they are pretty much the next level past basics. It's, you know, they're assuming you know how to do most of the things that they talk about, so then they can talk about marketing, and we talk about different things. She brings on a guest speaker almost every call, or she does a lesson herself. So it's open to any authors that are wanting to join. If you go to her website, it's the Phoenix Author Inc. website, and there's a tab called Connective Collective, and you just sign up. It's free. It's an hour, and you phone in. There's a phone call number, and you can just listen, and there is some discussion on there. There's question time, but for the most part, you're just listening to a lesson for a good part of the hour, and then there's some chatting and stuff, but you don't have to, so you can just mute and listen. But anyways, I found that to be really encouraging and helpful too. So yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that.
Well, and I've listened in on 2 calls. For me, it's more of a schedule thing. If there's a Tuesday that's open, I usually do try to jump on when there is a call.
Awesome. Okay, and I know we all know about this, but Heather Hildebrand also does something with another author that has been on Love Write Create, a Love Write Create alumni, SM Boyce.
There you go.
And they do. They have a website. It's Find Time to Write, and it's a time management, and I mean it's a pretty in-depth study and course about writing and all of that. Obviously, there's cost to it, which is making it be something that I need to just hold off on right now, but I would love to do it. And 2 authors who I think we've all really kind of loved to hear talk and really respect and love their books, and so that's a really good option. And if somebody's thinking about doing something and jumping in, these are 2 authors who could really give you, a leg up on all the info that you would need to know. Also very teachable. I feel like both of them are people who, when they speak to you, they're kind of like Miss Teacher Ross here, very knowledgeable and helpful.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
That's one that's more on my wish list for this year, which I'm not sure I'm going to, I'm going to try, but that one's going to be one. And then there's the Scrivener course by Gwen Hernandez that I have wanted to do forever, and I think all of us have passed that email around to do, and it's a little more in-depth. She has a couple levels to it of what to do, so that also has cost to it. So I think that would be the first thing I would try, and then the next thing I would try to do is the Find Time to Write. But I also want to just throw in there, the girls have given you some good options as far as free things to do, but don't ever go to author pages of people that you like their writing and you kind of like how they are on Twitter and Facebook, because I feel like they will put out great tidbits. There's a couple people that I follow. I don't know if you've ever heard of Chuck Wendig. He's more of like a fantasy author and almost like science fiction author, but is so fun to just listen to what he has to say and the way that he writes. But he brings on tons of authors to do guest spots, and he even does like writing challenges and things like that on there. And I feel like when you're constantly seeing somebody who's being creative and being inspirational, it kind of helps you to stay that way also. So I follow him, and then there's like Jeff Goins and John Acuff, who always have really good information and are always really kind of just positive and helping you stay on track, which I sometimes feel like you don't have time to sit down and do a course, but it would be great to hear somebody just kind of giving you stuff either in newsletter form or put them in your Feedly, so when you're ready to sit down into focus, you can, pull it up and read through some of your blogs. That's always good too. So, anyone have anything else to add to our little discussion today?
I don't know. Those are all good things.
Yeah, I was trying to think of, and I just remembered, we talked about how NaNoWriMo is like a month of us getting nonstop letters or, emails from NaNoWriMo, and there's constant chatter on Twitter, and people, even if you don't know them, you can still have a sprint or like compare, word counts for a day, that kind of thing. And SM Voice is offering something kind of like that. It costs, I think, a monthly fee, but it's called The Haven, and it's for writers to kind of have that NaNoWriMo experience all year long. And I don't personally know if I could handle that all year long. At least right now with me teaching too. But like Gabby said, the course Find Time to Write, I would love to take that. And then eventually, if I am writing and only writing and not grading papers all the time, I would love to have that like chatter in my ear. And chatter is kind of a bad word. I'll use the word singing. The singing in my ear, like just to write today, don't forget to write today, you know?
The little encouraging voice that just...
Yeah. But anyway, I remember that she's doing that. And I'm sure that there are lots of groups that they kind of are support groups that do that sort of thing. But I mean, other than the three of us really just kind of maybe waking each other up at 9 o'clock to do a writing sprint because somebody wants to go to bed at 9 o'clock.
I also thought it was fun. We do that, writing sprints. Like, if you can't afford to do one of these courses, get a group of girls together and just accountability on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays to do writing sprints or whatever. But I thought was really fun was right after we did that, I was going through Twitter and it was one of the Twitter handles that is just like writer tips, and they were like, your best marketing tool for a new author is tweeting about your journey. Like, the hashtag was am writing, and I thought it's so true. Like, if you're gonna do a writing sprint, put it on Twitter, publicize it, because not only are you doing accountability, but people start watching when you're doing it, and it's a good marketing tool too. So I thought that was funny because we had done it the other night, and it was pretty fun. But
well, and I don't know if this falls underneath that bracket or not, and maybe I need to I'll mention it, and y'all are like, no, we'll talk about that on another show. But one thing that I know a lot of new writers, and I experienced this when I was writing my first novel, you want someone to read it to tell you how they feel about it or what they think. And I had a friend that did that for me, but it's just something about having someone that maybe doesn't even know you, so there's no bias. And so I know places like Wattpad are good for that. Again, you know, in the end, I know a lot of authors have, I say a lot, a few authors have been picked up through Wattpad, or even they've had to pull the book off of Wattpad to get it published, you know, traditionally or whatever. But anyway, I mean, that's one thing. It's not necessarily that someone's going to train you, but it is where you're going to find some people that give you feedback. And I think that's one thing, and I didn't mention it earlier, but because it just came to mind, but that's one thing I think I really liked about CJ Redwine's class is that she gave me feedback about what I wrote, and you don't get that in a lot of these classes or trainings, and I want to learn it, but then I want them to read what I wrote after the class and tell me if I did it right.
You want a grade, don't you?
I do, because I'm a teacher, and this is what's so funny. I know I'm going to make an A when it comes to grammar. I just know it, but I just want someone to read it and just feel like that it's just the best story ever.
Aww.
You know?
That's why you give your stuff to us.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, I think that does it. We're going to put all the links in the description box, and we will definitely give you guys an update as to what we did, what we liked, what was not so hot, and we hope to see you guys again next week. So bye, and lots of love, and hopefully lots of writing, and hopefully it'll be creative. That's not the word. Creative. Bye. See you later.
#LoveWriteCreate.